Alright, there she is. All finished. Yeah, I wish. Alright, so here's what's new. You can see I got the seat off here because I've been building the electrical system. So far, all I had done with it is kind of research and development, and now I'm actually attempting to build it. And I actually got it to. That's actually just a reflection. That's not the headlight, but I mean that is the headlight, but the light you see inside of it is a reflection. Anyways, so yeah, I got it to run with the headlight on.
Huh? Yeah, I can.
That I expected to be a lot further than that. With the working on it this whole weekend, basically. But I've got it situated now, so I think it should be fairly straightforward from here on out. Building the rest of the lighting system. That's really all it is just for the lighting system. I have the option of a new feature which I just found out by accident. And let me give you the story with that, because this here it says the XW or MX, depending on which side you're looking from. That is my voltage regulator that I got off of eBay. Came from China. Just give you a look at that under there. See if you'll really focus on that. So yeah, so the fins are facing down. Hoping that that's not going to get in the way of the intake of the carb right there. So I'm going to put my little air pod on there or whatever I'm going to do. So anyways, it may look chaotic, and it pretty much is. This is not the finished product. I wanted to get some heat shrink to close up the connections, but I don't have heat shrink, and like I said in my other videos, I'm doing this as cheaply as possible with basically just crap I have laying around. Some stuff I'm ordering cheap parts from China, or I'm ordering them from eBay, which come from China, or I'm getting them at places like Harbor Freight for the headlight, which comes from China. Those mirrors came from China, eBay. Anyways, so I'm just making do with what I got around and what I can order real cheap. So anyways, to go along with that, so I didn't know how many wire rectifier regulator I needed. I just kind of guessed based off of what was coming out of the engine, which right up here is separated from the little wire bundle that comes out of the engine, which is about 6 wires. So I have this pink, yellow, and green with an orange stripe that came off of the engine. So with just kind of twisting wires together with the thing running and a voltage meter and all that good stuff. I figured out that by hooking a like an RC battery, like an RC car battery pack to it, I could get like 10 volts coming out of this thing, out of the red and black wire off of this module here, with the yellow yellow, pink to pink, and green to green on the regulator and the wire bundle, which I thought was interesting that the colors matched up. It's like I ordered the right one for this bike almost. But anyways, so I had determined that with that setup I could get enough voltage to run the lights at least, while it's at least revving high enough and all that. So I didn't do any further testing. Well, so I wired this all up. As you can see, this wire is kind of, the green is going back to just grounding out to the bike frame. That green was connected to that green, and I had the 3 wires coming in to the voltage regulator and all that. And I have a battery pack that I'm going to get to in a second that I had hooked up. So I had it pretty much hooked up like this, except for that green wire was connected to that green wire. Fired it up, and it was running, and the headlight came on. Success. And it was pretty late by then. This was last night. So I figured I'd kind of take it up and down the road, see how bright, just how bright it gets. You have to rev it up for it to get to full brightness. So I get it all warmed up and throw my helmet on and get ready to go, and click it into gear, and the light goes out. It's like, why does the light? Uh-oh, I burned it out. I must have over revved and it's not regulating enough, and I'm putting too much juice in the headlight. But then I just popped it back into neutral and the headlight comes back on. So what I figured was that I had a neutral indicator wire coming off of the engine, off the transmission, and that was in my bundle there. So I was like, oh crap, now I got more research to do. I got set back to ground zero, start all over again, and maybe this won't even work. So I came back out today, and then I took the side cover off, this guy right here, right where it says CDI, and went exploring, because that's where, see right here, the wire bundle goes down into the motor right behind this cover. So I took it off to see what the stator and everything looked like, and the way it was hooked up, and if there was any wires coming off of anywhere else. And sure enough, there was. Right about here, that green wire with the orange stripe is coming off of a little sensor right into the transmission. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, it's I don't know why I had kind of thrown away my previous theory of neutral indicator. I started thinking, well, it's a sender unit for a tachometer or speedometer or something. Well, it'd be more likely a tachometer coming off the transmission, or, well, I guess it'd be more like off the engine, because it's revs. Anyways, so I put everything back together and brought it back up here, and I figured, well, that's the only odd man out, is that green wire. And then it all made sense that my original theory was true, and it was that green wire that was a neutral indicator. So I cut that wire loose, and then fired it back up, and I had no juice coming off of my system. So I was like, crap, now what? But then I just stuck the green wire here, just stuck it on this rail right here to ground it out, and I actually ended up with like 13 and a half volts. I was like, great, that's the way it should be. That's the way it's supposed to put out to charge a 12-volt battery is like 3.8 volts. So yeah, that was lucky. And I also now know that I can run a neutral indicator light. Not that I really care about that, but I can. So I'm thinking, I don't know what those 3 extra wires were originally intended for. Some sort of dash console setup thing, or what, but or if it actually is for lights, pink and yellow for lights. Anyways, yeah, so the battery pack that I'm using, it's more of a capacitor than an actual battery, because this battery does not hold a charge. As you can see here is a battery pack. This is a lithium ion battery pack out of a laptop. The reason it's out of the laptop, I'm actually still using the laptop, is that the battery got old and got puffy. Actually started puffing up and started bulging the laptop. So I took it out of there and forever used it on just a cord, and then we finally ordered a cheap replacement battery for it. Anyways, so I had this battery pack just sitting around, and then I got to thinking about like what kind of battery pack I can use, and how I can make it 12 volts or around there, because the RC one that I had used for testing was only a 7.2 volt that I was pumping like 10 volts through, and that was what I was going to go with. The battery pack didn't heat up or anything, so I was just going to try it or try to figure something else out. And then I thought about this. This is actually a 14.4 volt, something like that. It's over 14 volts. So I figured it'd be better to go higher than lower. The battery doesn't hold a charge anymore. I mean, it's obviously defective, but it kind of stores the power and further helps regulate it. I don't know, with this new setup I may not even need that. I may not be doing anything really. But anyways, so I don't have any switches or anything. When the engine comes on, it's putting power straight to the light. So if this battery were to hold a charge at any point, when I shut the bike off, there's nothing to stop the lights from draining the battery down. And I may change that, or I may just leave it. But the way everything is connected is not final. That's going to be changed. Like I have these connections that you see with electrical tape actually are soldered inside, and even this, it looks like it's all twisted together. They are soldered, and then I just put the electrical tape to insulate them. So, yeah, that's pretty much as far as I've gotten. But the front headlight, or the headlight, does work now. It does run. I used an app on my iPhone and then just duct taped my iPhone to the handlebars and ran it up and down the street just to kind of see what kind of speeds I could do with this thing. I'd download like a speedometer app for my phone and was using that. And I think the max speed it went to was like 42 miles an hour. That's usable to use this as a commuter. I definitely want to knock down the size of that rear sprocket eventually, get a little bit higher speeds out of this thing. The motor has plenty of torque, so it can definitely do with some taller gearing ratio. Get this thing some more like highway speeds. So in first gear, this thing is pretty much just walking speed at the highest RPM, so it's really low geared. And it's not really that the sprocket ratio that drastic. I believe it's actually the gear ratio in the tranny is that low geared. So I think that's pretty much it. Didn't get as far as I wanted to, but made progress, so that's good. So stay tuned. Oh, okay. Well, before I end it, one other thing too, dealing with the back end here, I had ordered a taillight off of eBay. It's coming from China and it's going to take forever. So what I've been thinking I'm going to do is just use my Sportster taillight and my Sportster horn, but probably use my Sportster taillight permanently on here. I'm already going to use the Sportster turn signals, and then all that stuff that I have ordered I'll probably put on the Sportster, because the taillight I have ordered is a pretty cool LED. It's a clear lens with red LED taillight, and then I have some little tiny turn signals and stuff that I got off of eBay that I'm going to probably put on the Sportster because they're tiny. But anyways, fitting the taillight back here and then making room for the license plate that's going to be there. My exhaust was in the way. There just wasn't enough room on the inside of the muffler there to be able to put a license plate centered under everything. So I put that spacer on there, which isn't quite enough. This thing can swing out further, like probably twice that width. I just didn't have a bolt that was long enough, and that spacer turned out to be just perfect for the stock bolt. I also ended up hacking off the tail end of the frame there, and it has plenty of cross supports welded all the way down. I may put an end pipe across eventually, but just to fit that big brake light up under here, I needed to take that off, and that the bars just hanging out past the fender always bugged me too. So it was an aesthetic thing as well as a functional thing. I may regret cutting that off, but hey, I'm a welder, so I can put it back on if I need to. Anyway, so I think that's probably good enough for an update. So please stay tuned, please subscribe, because I will be updating more often. I think this is actually going to work. I'm actually going to make this thing street legal. The biggest hiccup I'm looking at is the tires, because they don't have DOT on them. They're the right type, but they're not DOT approved, so I don't know if they'll pass or not. I'm going to try and get them passed, I think. And then there's a little different lighting. Okay, adjust. Ooh. Oh, anyways, it's going to be yellow. There's the Sportster, all tucked into all the other junk. I just threw all that in because it was all outside. Just crammed it all in. So there she is. Lots and lots of work to do on her, but it's going to be worth it. That's why I kind of have been charging full bore on this project, is just to get something rideable, and it should be a quick, cheap, easy bike to get on the road, and a fun little project. So yeah, stay tuned and see how it turns out. And I'm rambling now. Alright guys, take care. Bye.